Sonny, you have a legal note.
I do have a legal note. Thank you, Whoopi. Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations, calling the claims, quote, invented, and saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism. That DOJ investigation was closed with no charges being brought.
Sunny Hostin, the fiery, ethically outspoken co-host of The View, finds herself in the hot seat as her husband, Dr. Manny Hostin, faces shocking accusations in a $450 million RICO lawsuit. Since Sunny was charged with participating in one of the biggest insurance fraud schemes in New York, which included bribes and unnecessary procedures, many people are questioning his ethics. Is this another case of do as I say, not as I do? Let's look at the particulars of this conflict and the blatant injustices that are at play.
Her husband accused of committing federal insurance fraud in a lawsuit. Okay. Now let's read this. Rob, is this a video?
Well, I have this. I'll show you this about.
Let me just read this and I'll come to you. So, Dr. Emmanuel Manny Hostin, an orthopedic surgeon and husband of The View co-host Sunny Hostin, is accused in December lawsuit fraudulently billing insurance. By the way, this is a Daily Caller story I'm reading. The lawsuit alleges Hostin knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services in exchange for kickbacks and or compensation, and names him among nearly 200 defendants in one of New York's largest RICO cases. Wow. Hostin's attorney, Daniel Twites, denies the allegations, calling the lawsuit a meritless attempt by a near-bankrupt insurance carrier to intimidate doctors and restrict healthcare benefits. The case involves claims that Hostin performs unnecessary surgeries on patients after minor accidents without exploring less invasive treatments, with American Transit citing New York's 1974 no-fault law as contributing to widespread.
The husband of The View co-host Sunny Hostin, renowned orthopedic physician Dr. Manny Hostin, is accused in a December complaint of dishonest billing practices in the medical industry. According to the lawsuit, Dr. Hostin avoided less invasive options like physical therapy and misrepresented the severity of injuries while performing unnecessary surgeries on individuals who had been in minor traffic accidents. This case's relevance is increased by its scope. Dr. Hostin is one of more than 200 defendants in one of the largest RICO cases in New York. The allegations reveal a coordinated scheme wherein insurance companies for Lyft, Uber, and taxi drivers were billed for these exorbitant and often unnecessary procedures, and surgical centers were paid kickbacks to doctors, including Dr. Hostin, for patient referrals. The core of this legal battle is a claim for over $450 in damages, which reveals pervasive misuse in the insurance and medical industries. These tactics, according to critics, harm insurance companies and drive up costs, which affects average Americans who already have to deal with rising costs. Dr. Hostin's attorney has categorically denied the allegations, dismissing the action as a petty attempt by a financially distressed insurance company to scare doctors and avoid paying. This argument raises questions about how healthcare companies contribute to an environment where patients and medical professionals feel mistreated, which further complicates this high-stakes court drama.
Wait, hold on. Let Sunny get in here.
I agree with mostly everything that's been said. I mean, we know that, only about 31% of Americans trust our healthcare system. We have a terrible healthcare system. And, doctors suffer because of big corporations as well. Doctors that want to do good, like my husband, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance, and then has to sue health insurance companies to get paid for the work that he's been trained his whole life to do. So there are a lot of problems with it. But the notion that we are in a violent country, this country was built on violence. We're a very violent country, and it's just undeniable that that's the case. And so I'm not, unfortunately, surprised that people are celebrating the use of violence. I'm not surprised that this young man thought that change could be accomplished through violence. 1 in 4 Americans say violence against government sometimes is justified. And today, in 2024, 1 in 10 Americans say violence is justified right now against corporations and government.
That's very scary.
Those are just.
And even though I don't think he might change something, he might have laid out a plan for a copycat.
Sunny Hostin's recent remarks on her husband's view that he should fight insurance companies to be reimbursed for his work have taken on much more relevance in light of the fraud charges against him. Instead of being a defense of his patients, it now reads as a potential window into the same processes at the heart of the $450 million RICO loss. Critics have instantly called attention to the disparity. Sunny, who is a fervent advocate for transparency and responsibility, is now standing up for a system that her husband is said to have misused. The public is left to question how someone who speaks out so strongly for justice could possibly overlook the serious accusations against her own family. In the past, Sunny has presented herself as a supporter of ethics and reform. The perspective claims that she has been an outspoken critic of institutional corruption, corporate greed, and even conservative leaders' morality. However, her apparent apathy with her husband's legal issues stands in stark contrast to her willingness to express her views on these issues. Because of the stark contrast between her outspoken criticism of the alleged misconduct of others and her slow or non-existent responses to her own family's culpability, many have accused her of hypocrisy for her quiet on the matter. This disparity calls into question if Sunny's opinions are applied selectively and might jeopardize her reputation as a commentator.
I was at my daughter's high school graduation.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I didn't feel somber. I felt like the Knicks won the tournament. I felt like America won.
Yep.
I felt like New York won. I felt like the Manhattan DA's office won. I felt like I won.
Sunny Hostin's harsh criticism of people like Matt Gaetz and Donald Trump is being scrutinized now that her own family is involved in a significant problem. Sunny has been accusing political opponents of corruption on The View for years, often based on unsupported allegations. But when her spouse is accused of participating in a $450 RICO fraud scheme, she has either said nothing or backed down. Critics argue that Sunny has taken on a victim narrative for her family, which contrasts sharply with her harsh criticism of others. When this double standard exposes the disparity in her moral posturing, many people question the authenticity of her outspoken dedication to accountability. Equally troubling is the complete lack of coverage of the Hostin event by the major media. Though conservative politicians are often the subject of ceaseless press over allegations whether genuine or not, Sunny's husband's complaints have hardly garnered a whisper in the media. This disparity reflects a broader cultural and political bias, where competing ideologies get the greatest attention, while elites are shielded from criticism. Her critics have taken advantage of the irony that Sunny preaches justice and morality while living on a multi-million-dollar house that seems to be immune to the systemic issues she often critiques. It is a glaring example of privilege, hypocrisy, and selective accountability that resonates deeply with the public's growing dissatisfaction with the media's double standard. The Sunny Hostin and her husband's scandal has become a quintessential example of what many liberals consider to be systemic hypocrisy, while using her platform on The View to promote ethics and denounce the alleged wrongdoing of conservatives like Matt Gaetz and Donald Trump. Sunny conveniently ignores the shocking allegations against her own husband, who is accused of abusing the healthcare system in a $450 million RICO case. The difference is stark. Conservatives like Gaetz and Trump are subject to a presumption of guilt and ongoing media scrutiny even for small claims, whereas the Hostin event is seen with near sight. A glaring double standard is shown by this selective fury when people like Sunny support others' accountability while disregarding the same norms in their own lives. This kind of self-serving narrative is gradually eroding popular trust in the media and political leaders. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you don't want to miss out on the hottest celebrity news, make sure to subscribe to Daily Finder.